Hey boys and girls, it's Misty here, and today we are going to be doing a science experiment. All last week you guys have been learning about all the different landforms, and today we are going to learn about how landforms are made. Specifically, sometimes we'll dig deep into the desert landforms, and I'll show you some of those as well, okay? So what you guys are going to need for this science experiment is a piece of chalk, and you want a thick piece of chalk that looks something like this. And not like a skinny one like this, okay? Choose a chalk that is super thick, like this, and you are also going to need some sandpaper. Mine is a little piece of sandpaper. Yours might be bigger or smaller. It depends on what kind of sandpaper you have. Or if you don't have sandpaper, you can always use a rough rock to pretend like it's the sand of the desert, okay? Alrighty, so for our experiment, we're going to pretend that this is a piece of land, any kind of land, like a big canyon and whatnot, or a mountain. And so when we're talking about the desert, you might want to do this outside, by the way, which is why I'm outside, because I don't want to make a mess inside. But when we are talking about the desert, we know that the desert is surrounded by a lot of sand. It's very hot, so not a lot of plants can survive there. All you really do see is a lot of maybe cactuses or cacti, but usually you see a lot of sand in the desert. And so we're going to pretend like this is our piece of land, like our big old rock or mountain that's in the desert, and then we have sand, right? So every time that the desert has some kind of sandstorm or maybe even wind pickup, that sand is going to float in the air, and it's going to come by and it's going to brush right next to the rock that we have. And if you brush closely, I don't want chalk to go everywhere, so I might go show it over here. If you brush and brush and brush and the wind keeps blowing, you'll notice on your chalk, can't really see it very well on the camera, but you'll notice on your chalk that all the little chalk pieces or chalk dust is starting to come off, okay? And so the sand will continue to brush on that rock and brush it, brush it, brush it. What I want you guys to do is I want you to take your sandpaper or rock, and I want you to brush it on your rock for a good, oh my gosh, there's chalk everywhere. Let's do it for a good minute, okay? So brush it for a whole minute. I might brush mine down just a little bit below, just because the chalk is going everywhere. So I'm gonna brush mine down here for about 5 minutes. You'll notice that I'm doing this. We're pretending like this is the wind and the sand is blowing all onto the rock, because it is shaving that landform down. So we're gonna shave it for a whole minute, okay? And so when you're in the desert, like I said, there's not very many plants there. It's a lot of sand. And so when the wind picks up, oh my goodness, when the wind picks up, it's gonna brush up on that rock, and it's gonna do what we're doing to the chalk right here. It's brushing up on the rock, or we're brushing up on the chalk. And you'll notice that your chalk is going to change. I want you guys to really look at how is your chalk changing. You really want to do this outside. Miss D has chalk everywhere now, all over her. So fun. Okay? And after a minute of brushing your chalk, go ahead and take a look at it. Does it look skinnier to you? I can tell my chalk looks a lot skinnier from the bottom, because the bottom I didn't really touch, but at the top, you can see it getting a lot skinnier. And so that's how landforms are made. Sometimes the sand might brush it a different way, and you might get different landforms, such as, let's see if I can find them down here. Might have got blown away. Let me go grab it real quick. Whoops. Okay. The wind is crazy today. So sometimes your landforms, or the desert landforms, might carve the rocks out to be looking like this. And these are called columns. Your chalk might end up looking just a little bit skinny, just like these columns are right here. They're skinny, skinny rocks. Or maybe they might turn out to be like an arc. Do you see how it arcs like that? Sometimes the wind will brush underneath the rock, and it'll create an arc that looks just like that, almost like a rainbow rock. Hi. And then down at the bottom right here, this is called a butte. It's just a little bit thicker than a column. And so whenever, like I said, when you're in the desert, sometimes the wind might brush up on these rocks and create all these amazing landforms that you see. Okay? Alrighty guys, hope you have fun with the science experiment. Oh, I forgot to tell you one last thing. In your science journal, you're gonna draw before and after. Misty totally forgot to tell you guys that. Okay, you're gonna draw a before and after, so just like this. So one side is before, and I drew what my chalk looked like before. It looks super thick, okay? And then afterwards, I might draw it just a little bit skinnier because that sandpaper sanded away or eroded all that rock that was on the chalk, didn't it? All right, guys, have fun with the science experiment. Don't make too much of a mess. Make sure if you do make a mess, clean it up. See you next time.